From the station working for you, this is Good Morning Indiana, streaming now.
And it is 5 o'clock here on your Tuesday. Good morning to you. I'm Lauren Casey.
Lauren, good morning. I'm Rafael Sanchez, and here are your headlines on the September the 1st.
The more information that people have and the more resources available, the more comfortable they're going to be to have the conversations.
The pandemic has raised anxieties and stress during the past several months. What one local organization is now doing to put more resources and education into suicide prevention.
More fraternity and sorority houses under quarantine at IU as the number of COVID-19 cases continues to rise. This morning, the message one student has for other members of the Greek community.
And rising from the ashes, Country Kitchen's plan to reopen bigger and better than ever before.
And here at 5 o'clock, we want to thank you for joining us on Good Morning Indiana on this Tuesday. Rafael, can you believe it? It is September 1st.
I cannot believe it is September 1st. It is good to see Todd Clausen back among the family. You look well and rested, Todd Clausen. I look forward to that day when I can say, it's Tuesday.
Yeah, you know, it was nice to extend the weekend and just didn't do anything crazy yesterday. Just went golfing with some friends and enjoyed the nice weather out there with the low humidity. Humidity kind of came up a little bit, though, throughout the day. And this morning, we're dealing with some patchy fog out there across central Indiana. Here's a live look in Bloomington right now. And you can see as you look at kind of the lights, I know it's tough to see at this hour when things are dark, but you can see a little bit of patchy fog there around the lights across campus. In Bloomington, the temperature right now is at 65 degrees. Indianapolis at 68. Lafayette currently at 67 degrees. Skies are mainly clear right now, but that's one of the reasons why the fog has settled in. With the clearer skies and the cooler temperatures, visibilities are an issue in some locations this morning where we're down below 1 mile. But the fog will burn off pretty quick this morning once the sun comes up and off to our west. Just a little unsettled. You notice numerous clusters of showers and some storms out there. And so as we go throughout the afternoon hours, some of those storms will start to build in. So we're dry this morning. No threat of any rainfall. About 79 degrees by the noon hour. Once we get past the noon hour, though, between, I would say, 1 and 5 o'clock and then onward throughout the evening hours, storms will be a possibility. We'll talk about them in more detail for you coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Todd, thanks so much. You mentioned some fog out there that drivers will have to watch out for in their morning commute. And here's a live look where you can see some of that haze off in the distance. I-65 near State Road 32 in the Lebanon area. Just keep that in mind as you're heading out the door. Use those low beam headlights if you do encounter fog. And of course, we'll try and keep you updated on the worst spots for your commute. So another night of violence here in the metro area. Overnight, at least 5 people were shot across the city, including a juvenile. That juvenile was shot around 2 this morning on Shoreland Lane near 21st and Midhofer. Police say the victim was taken to the Riley and listed as stable. Around the same time, another person was shot. This was a separate incident near West 34th Street and Moeller Road. That victim also listed as stable. And just before midnight, police responded to Bancroft Street, where one person there was shot. And then before 4:30, police located 2 people shot near the 3800 block of German Church Road. We're told that one victim is stable. The other's condition is unknown at this time. We're working to learn more about each of those cases, and of course, we'll keep you updated. IU Bloomington is now taking more action to handle COVID-19 cases.
Lauren, the university seeking to remain open for the fall semester. WRTV's ALYSSA Donovan is live with more on who's being told to quarantine. ALYSSA, good morning.
Good morning, Rafael. IU administrators are working to control the spread of COVID-19 at their IU Bloomington campus. And this week they told 6 additional Greek houses that they need to quarantine. So this is in addition to another group of houses that they told to quarantine last week. So there are now 14 houses under quarantine at the university. That's out of 69 fraternities and sororities on the Bloomington campus. According to IU, there has been 132 positive COVID-19 cases at their Bloomington campus, with a high amount of the positive tests coming from those who live in Greek houses. We spoke with one student who is doing her best to stay safe and keep other students safe.
I know I shouldn't be going out and partying, so I'm not. I think everybody just needs to get on the same page.
IU administrators say positive tests are inevitable, which is why they are acting fast when it comes to quarantining students. And IU does have a medical response team that is meeting daily at their Bloomington campus to discuss the latest numbers as well as the trends among students to better understand how they can continue to go through school and keep students safe. Reporting live, I'm ALYSSA Donovan, WRTV.
Alyssa, thank you. Ball State is providing additional testing this week as it deals with a big spike in positive cases. The university says any student can get tested today or Wednesday from 10 to 6 at Worthen Arena. Last week, the president of Ball State released a statement saying if things don't change, he may temporarily suspend all on-campus courses or switch to remote learning for the rest of the semester. And we are getting insight on which age group is seeing a spike in the coronavirus cases. The state health department says people ages 20 to 29 make up nearly 20% of the positive cases in Indiana. That's the highest percentage among age groups. The State Department of Health is also reporting 897 new cases of COVID-19. So far, a total of 94,196 Hoosiers have been diagnosed with COVID-19. They also say that 5 newly reported deaths of people with the virus were reported. 3,077 people in Indiana have died with the coronavirus since the pandemic started back in March. 1,076,947 Hoosiers have been tested for COVID-19 so far. 8.7 of those people have tested positive.
The University of Notre Dame has announced its fan policy for this football season. And unless you're a student, you are simply out of luck. Attendance will be limited to 20% or less capacity. Priority will be given to students. Remaining tickets will be offered to faculty and staff and sold on a single game basis. Holy Cross and St. Mary's students may purchase tickets if space allows. Tailgating will be prohibited and masks will be required inside the stadium. The first home game is Saturday, September the 12th against Duke.
Well, WRTV is committed to connecting you to job opportunities, and an organization that's dedicated to serving our community is also hiring Hoosiers. Second Helpings is looking to fill several positions, including staff, accountant, facilities manager, and driver. Those are full-time jobs with benefits. The nonprofit says it wants to attract a diverse range of candidates who are interested in giving back to this community.
We're looking for people who are committed to the work that we do and who are committed to service. Everything we do at Second Helpings is part of a collaboration with our entire community. They're going to be working with our staff as well as volunteers. So this is an opportunity for someone who really wants to be part of the team.
Well, Second Helpings works to address hunger and poverty in central Indiana by rescuing prepared food that would otherwise get thrown away. The organization also runs a culinary job training program.
IKEA in Fishers wants to help a lending hand to teachers during this unique school year, so they're teaming up with Teachers Treasures for a classroom refresh contest. Teachers are invited to enter for a chance to win a $1,000 IKEA gift card to refresh their in-school or virtual classroom. Now, submissions are open until October the 1st. Go to teacherstreasures.org/IKEA Classroom Contest for how to apply. In addition to the contest, the Fishers IKEA is donating more than $30,000 worth of products to Teachers Treasures for free.
Here at 5:09, today marks the beginning of National Suicide Prevention Month. Since the beginning of the pandemic, the National Suicide Hotline says it's received more calls than normal. Working for you, WRTV's own Kelsey Anderson joins us this morning with what one local organization is doing to bring awareness. Kelsey, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Lauren. So suicide and mental illness has been stigmatized for a very long time. It's something we don't often talk about, and one local organization wants to end that stigma and also teach you the warning signs of suicide. This month, the Indiana Center for Prevention of Youth Abuse and Suicide is working to educate more people on suicide and how to talk about it. I spoke with Maggie Owens, and she tells me 1 in 5 Hoosier teens has contemplated suicide. She says there are many reasons someone may contemplate taking their own life, and there's no way to know if someone is doing so. That's why she says it's important to be educated on suicide and how to talk about it.
I just think the more information that people have and the more resources available, the more comfortable they're going to be to have the conversations. And I mean, when we think about suicide and mental health, it really is a ripple effect. So it may not affect me now, it may affect me later, which is going to affect somebody else. And so to have that community that is prepared and able to handle when and if that happens in their home or in their family, well, they'll be better equipped to be able to address it when the time might come up.
She tells me they offer QPR classes, which stand for Question, Persuade, and Refer. Question if they're having suicidal thoughts, persuading them to stay alive, and then referring them to a mental health place that is the best for them. And then now during the month of September, they are offering those classes virtually. They're also offering them free to anyone who would want to take them. For more information, head over to WRTV.com. Reporting live, Kelsey Anderson, WRTV.
Kelsey, thank you. A soul food staple is planning to make a big comeback after several months following a destructive fire on the near north side of Indianapolis. The fire in January damaged Country Kitchen on North College Avenue, as you may recall. The building is gone, but plans to rebuild are now underway. Regina Marsh says the pandemic has slowed the process, but is moving forward with plans.
Had there not been a pandemic, we might have been able to start this project sooner. So while the project is still in the process of being built, that's income that we're not bringing in as a Black business. We've got the plans in place. We're now looking for bids, and we're in the process of doing this. Our goal is February or March of 2021 to be complete, but that's ambitious in the middle of a pandemic.
The new plans will also include an event center on the site. Marsh says insurance is covering the cost of the rebuild. She says money raised from the community shortly after that fire went toward helping the staff. While you can't dine at Country Kitchen right now, you can support other Black-owned restaurants and businesses. You can find a directory of Black-owned businesses around Central Indiana on our website, WRTV.com. And Todd Clausen, this Tuesday would be a great day for takeout anywhere in Central Indiana. The offer to pay for lunch is still out there. You have not taken it. Hopefully after vacation, you have rethought your plans. It's free, bro. I'll pay for it, but listen, the offer's going to run out sooner or later.
We'll get there eventually, Raphael. Don't worry. We're going to take you up on that. There's no doubt about it. Just fresh off the press here from the National Weather Service, a dense fog advisory now has been issued on the far eastern side of the state. This came out of the National Weather Service in the Cincinnati area, which covers Wayne County in the Richmond area. And you can see right along the state line that dense fog advisory in effect until 10 p.m. So for your commute to work, if you do have to do so here this morning, we're looking at areas of fog, 69 degrees, and then heading home from work, we'll start to build in some scattered storms with temperatures in the 80s. Here are those visibility issues, and they're not as bad to the north, but you notice as you work your way into the Cloverdale area, 1/10 of a mile, 3/10 in Spencer, as well as Bloomington, 2/10 in Shelbyville, and these will continue to fluctuate, so just be aware of that. That's on the fog side of things, and then as far as the rainfall coverage later on this afternoon, it's not a washout, just some scattered storms will start to build in. We'll detail those for you coming up here in just a few minutes.
Todd, thank you. The president heading to Kenosha today, despite some concerns from a number of local and state leaders there. After the break, why he says today's visit is necessary. It is 5:14. Stick around. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. Today, President Trump will head to Kenosha, Wisconsin, despite some pushback from the governor and local officials there.
And Lauren, for the past week, we have seen riots. We have seen peaceful protests, all in response to the police shooting death of Jacob Blake. The 29-year-old, as you may recall, was shot 7 times in the back and left partially paralyzed. That's per his parents. Local leaders say that Trump's presence may increase violence or make tensions worse. But the president, he insists the visit will increase enthusiasm and bring people together. He's expected to meet with local law enforcement officials and business owners and survey damage that was caused several sections of that city. A meeting with Blake's family is not on the schedule, though Mr. Trump says he spoke to their pastor.
I spoke with the pastor, wonderful man, the family's pastor, and I thought it would be better not to do anything where there are lawyers involved. They wanted me to speak, but they wanted to have lawyers involved, and I thought that was inappropriate, so I didn't do that. I may at some point, do that, but they did have a lawyer that wanted to be on the phone, and I said, no, that's inappropriate, but I just gave my best regard.
Blake's family is planning a community celebration to correspond with the president's visit.
Well, a federal appeals court has ruled against former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn and the Justice Department in their effort to close his criminal case. Flynn admitted to lying to the FBI during the investigation into Russia's 2016 election interference. He pleaded guilty and was set to be sentenced. Meanwhile, President Trump said that Flynn was unfairly prosecuted. And in a very controversial move, Trump's Attorney General William Barr asked to have Flynn's charges dropped. Earlier this summer, a D.C. Circuit Court sided with Flynn to have his case dismissed. Later, a D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals wiped out the lower court's ruling. And in a decision on Monday, that court voted to keep Flynn's case alive.
Meanwhile, 3 men indicted with Trump associate Steve Bannon are now pleading not guilty. Brian Colfage, Andrew Baldolado, and Timothy Shea appeared virtually before a New York federal judge on Monday. And Bannon, who already pleaded not guilty, was with them. The 4 are charged with defrauding people who donated money to help build the southern border wall. Prosecutors say the men used hundreds of thousands of dollars from the fund for personal expenses. The judge also warned the defendants not to make public statements that might affect a fair trial. It is now time to check your forecast on this Tuesday morning. Todd stepped outside for a few minutes. Can't see the fog just yet here in Johnson County as your official weather watcher here in Franklin, but it's still dark, so I'm sure we'll see some of that as the sun rises.
Yeah, these visibilities have been fluctuating a little bit, Raphael, and that's one of the things that makes it tricky when you get to on the roadways is you may think it's fine in your neighborhood, and then you're traveling down the road, and all of a sudden you run into a bank of that fog, especially on the highways where you're going at a higher rate of speed. So just be aware that it's out there. It's not the worst that the fog has ever been. Only a couple counties off to the east under the dense fog advisory here this morning, but just be careful on the roadways. As we get into the afternoon hours, the fog will be long gone. But we'll have the chance of scattered storms starting to build in, and then those storm chances will continue into the evening hours as well. And here are those visibility numbers, and you can see where Raphael was talking about down there in Johnson County, a little bit of a hole in the color contours there showing no visibility issues. We get to Zionsville, though, 0.6 of a mile, Frankfort 0.3, a half mile, and Lafayette only 1/10 of a mile, really from Cloverdale right along I-70 there all the way to the Terre Haute region. In Greenfield, the visibility, at least the reading coming in from Mount Comfort Airport over there, is 0 visibility. So just be aware that fog is an issue for some of you as you get going on this Tuesday morning. Skies are mainly clear right now outside of the fog, and that's why we'll burn it off pretty quickly once the sun does come up. But it's pretty unsettled off to our west with different clusters and of storms and a broken line of showers there further off to our west. And that unsettled weather pattern is going to be with us here this afternoon and into the next couple days. So as we go over to TrueCast here, you can see it doesn't show a whole lot between now and 2 o'clock this afternoon. But once we get past 2 o'clock, I think there will be the chance of scattered showers and storms sneaking in here off and on throughout the course of the day. And then into the overnight hours, maybe potentially a bigger cluster of storms rolling through. And it might be that biggest cluster there that you see during the overnight hours that has the potential for maybe some gusty winds and the potential of maybe an isolated warning or two. You can see the visibility there in Bloomington, the 72 degrees in Muncie right now, 68 in Indy. Temperatures don't really move a whole lot here this morning. Once the sun comes up, we'll start to moderate through the 70s and then eventually up to about 82 degrees for your high temperature later on this afternoon. Tomorrow morning, as I mentioned, the chance of some showers and storms. And then Thursday, more storms are in the forecast as it remains pretty unsettled with temperatures in the 80s. But as they expand your 7-day planning forecast out, you notice Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and even most of Labor Day, a beautiful stretch of weather. But look at those temperatures back down into the 50s both Saturday and Sunday morning. But the afternoon hours, if you do have plans this holiday weekend, very pleasant with highs in the 70s and 80s. Lauren?
All right, Todd, we were trying to find some fog to show you here on our camera, and this is a look out near the Greenfield Rest area where we did have that reduced visibility, and you can see some of the fog there in the skies from our camera. Traffic not impacted too much here. You can see it's moving along up to speed, both eastbound and westbound. We do have some flashing lights there off in addition distance, so we'll keep an eye on that. But overall, I don't think there's too many issues to slow down your commute. Just use those low beam headlights and use caution if you do encounter some fog for your commute. Raphael?
Watch out for that fog. A 73-year-old woman back home after a long battle against the coronavirus. Her triumphant story next. You'll want to meet her right here on Good Morning Indiana.
Welcome back. So a family in Brooklyn is celebrating their matriarch after she conquered a nearly 6-month battle with the coronavirus.
And Lauren, as you know, I love flowers, so I would love to send this lady flowers like once a month after you hear her story. I want you to meet 73-year-old Marie Jean-Pierre. She spent 163 days in the hospital. That's a long time, and luckily she's now back home. She had a tracheotomy and had to relearn how to walk and talk again after her fight with COVID-19. At least 3 times doctors told the family the end was near. But this mother of 6, grandmother of 11, and great-grandmother of 9 is clearly a fighter.
We dropped her off on the 21st. On the 23rd, the doctor called my daughter-in-law to tell us she's not going to live through the night, and we freaked out. We cried, breaking things. It was just unbearable, the thought that she would die. So she went through a nightmare. She came back from death hands.
We have to thank Maimonides Hospital and all the doctors and nurses. I, being a nurse also, understand what they go through, and it's amazing.
It is an amazing story. Marie said the first thing she wanted to do when she got home, Lauren and Todd, she wanted to eat some good old home cooking. We wish her all the very best. That is simply just a very uplifting story on this Tuesday.
Wow, I love that story, and I bet they're so grateful for this time they're getting to spend with her. So congratulations to her and her family. That is very inspiring. All right, Todd, we have a look at our forecast. It's a brand new month, so what have you got for us?
You know, kicking off September here with a little bit of patchy fog this morning, but all in all, it's pretty quiet as far as the rest of the weather goes here throughout the morning hours at least. We'll burn the fog off and it'll just be mostly cloudy with temperatures not bad. We're in the 60s here this morning in most locations. We'll climb to near 80 degrees by the noon hour. A little bit of humidity around as well. As we get into the afternoon hours, though, we'll start to build in the chance for some scattered storms across the area with a high right around 82 to 83 degrees. Better storm chances later tonight and into tomorrow. We'll talk more about that coming up in just a little bit as Good Morning Indiana continues right here on WRTV.
From the station working for you, this is Good Morning Indiana, streaming now.
Now at 5:30, Indiana University seeing more cases of COVID-19 within Greek organizations. Our own ALYSSA Donovan explains how the university is handling the outbreaks and what students say they're doing to stay safe.
And September is Suicide Prevention Month. Working for you this morning, we're learning how one local organization is working to bring awareness to the issue and providing resources to those in need. Welcome to Good Morning Indiana on this Tuesday. I'm Rafael Sanchez from your official Johnson County living room studio. As we continue to social distance, my good friend Lauren Casey is in Studio A, and Todd Clausen is in Indiana's best basement ever, giving us the best forecast. We hope on this first day of a new month.
Yeah, brand new month, Raphael, and I don't know if Todd's going to deliver for us today. We have starting things off with some fog anyways. What can we expect, Todd?
Yeah, you know, it is a little foggy here this morning, but if you were looking for some good weather, Raphael, we can deliver for the Labor Day weekend here. I think you're really going to like that forecast as we get towards the end of the week. Here's the visibility in parts of downtown Indianapolis as you look from IMS, and you can see the city skyline. So that just indicates that the visibility, not too much of an issue here in downtown Indianapolis, with temperatures this morning that are sitting in the upper 60s in Indy, 66 in Bloomington, Muncie at 72. But once you get outside of Indy and Johnson County, you notice the visibilities are a little bit lower. Frankfort, 0.3 of a mile, only a 1/10 in Cloverdale, 1/10 of a mile in Shelbyville. So just give yourself a little bit of extra time on the roadways this morning. There's a dense fog advisory in Connorsville as well as Richmond there till 10 o'clock on the eastern side of the state. We deal with the fog this morning and then the storms that are off to our west. Some of those will build in here later on this afternoon. So it's quiet this morning. Becomes a little stormy for some of you this afternoon with temperatures in the low 80s. We'll break down those rain chances for you in more detail coming up in just a little bit.
All right, Todd, thanks so much. We are keeping a close eye on your roads this morning. Again, you may run into that fog out there, and here's a live look in the Whitestown area. You can see some reduced visibility on I-65. This is near State Road 334, so just use caution. You can see traffic is still moving along up to speed, both northbound and southbound here to our northwest. We'll continue to keep our eyes on your roads and keep you updated on any delays. Raphael?
Lauren, another night of violence here in the capital city. Overnight, at least 5 people shot in Indianapolis, including a juvenile. Here are the details as they're coming into the WRTV newsroom where the incidents all happened. That juvenile was shot around 2 this morning on Shoreland Lane near 21st and Midhofer. Police say the victim was taken to Riley Hospital for Children and was listed as stable last we heard. Around the same time, another person was shot in a separate incident, this near West 34th Street and Moeller Road. That victim is also listed as stable. Also just before midnight, police responded to Bancroft Street where one person was shot. And just before 4:30, police located 2 people shot near the 3800 block of German Church Road. We're told one victim is in stable condition and the other condition is not known. We are working to learn more about these cases as these stories continue to develop on this Tuesday morning.
Well, there's a concerning uptick, Raphael, in COVID-19 cases, and it's forcing IU Bloomington to take action.
WRTV's ALYSSA Donovan joins us live with the plan that is now underway. ALYSSA, good morning.
Good morning. IU administrators have told 6 more Greek houses that they need to start quarantining this weekend. This is after they found more positive tests of COVID-19 among that population of students. Overall, there are now 14 Greek houses that are under quarantine. There are just under 70 fraternities and sororities at the Bloomington campus. According to IU leaders, they are doing mitigation testing. The focus for the past week has been on students living in residence halls and Greek life houses. This type of randomized testing is meant to identify and isolate positive cases. We spoke with one student who is part of Greek life but does not live in a house. She's been very serious about practicing social distancing.
I have one sister, well, 2 sisters that live like downstairs in the same apartment complex as me. So I've seen them a couple times, but even then we've been like standing like far apart from each other.
Last week's mitigation testing showed a concerning rise in cases among Greek houses. The positivity rate among students living in that population was just over 8% of students tested. The positivity rate of residence hall students was around 1.6%. And the mitigation testing, as well as quickly quarantine entire houses of students who are testing positive. These are all ways that IU is working to keep the campus open and keep in-person learning possible for these students. Reporting live, I'm ALYSSA Donovan, WRTV.
This morning, let's take a big picture look at this issue. Here's a look at the latest numbers from across the state on the issue of COVID-19. This morning, state health officials confirmed nearly 900 new coronavirus cases. That means since the pandemic began, more than 94,000 Hoosiers have tested positive for the virus. State health officials also report an additional 5 people have died from COVID-19. Since March, more than 3,000 Hoosiers with coronavirus have died. Since the beginning of this pandemic, the National Suicide Hotline is reporting more calls than usual. September just happens to be Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. Lauren?
And so working for you, our own Kelsey Anderson is joining us this morning with what a local organization is doing to bring awareness about this issue. Kelsey, good morning.
Hey, good morning. So suicide and mental illnesses have been stigmatized for a very long time. It's something we don't often talk about. And this month, a local organization is working to end that stigma and teach everyone the warning signs of suicide.
We're seeing a rise in it and have been seeing a rise in it for a long time. And so to really equip the community with resources and things that are available to them.
Maggie Owens works for the Indiana Center for Prevention of Youth Abuse and Suicide. She tells me Indiana ranks pretty high nationally when it comes to suicide.
1 in 5 teenagers seriously have considered suicide in the past year, and that was even before the onset of a pandemic.
She says there are 3 main factors why someone may consider taking their own life.
Depression and anxiety or substance abuse, any stressful life changes, and then some personality disorders that would come with that. So when we think about a pandemic, obviously that is a stressful life change for anybody.
Owen says there's no one way to know if someone is contemplating suicide because everyone expresses their feelings differently.
I think that there are some pretty specific, if there's an increase in alcohol or drug consumption, obviously the very direct speaking about the fact that they want to end their life or they're considering that, especially if there's a means, if they've expressed, that they have a gun and that they are having these thoughts, that's obviously a huge red flag to reach out. But I think it's just important to be aware of personality changes.
She tells me the best way to equip yourself to have a conversation about suicide is to educate yourself.
We actually offer them, it's called QPR. QPR stands for Question, Persuade, and Refer. It really talks about how to ask the question that if they're having suicidal thoughts, persuading them to stay alive, and then referring them to a mental health place that is the best for them.
So during the month of September, they are offering these QPR classes online and free of charge. The next class is September 9th. For more information, head to WRTV.com. Reporting live, Kelsey Anderson, WRTV.
Kelsey, thank you. Well, it's been more than 7 weeks since a 16-year-old boy was shot and killed on the east side of Indianapolis. And this morning, his family is asking for your help as they continue to search for answers.
It feels like, that there's not going to be any justice. It feels like it's almost feeling like swept under the rug, so to speak, I guess, because there's so many other things going on in the world and the city.
Braden Shiflett was one of 3 teens shot at a party near 24th and Sheridan back on July 11th. His father says there are still many unanswered questions in this case, including who shot his son and why. James Shiflett says that Braden likes to play basketball and he was part of a Christian group, Young Life, at North Central High School. This morning, he hopes someone comes forward with some information.
So we just want answers. We just want to know there's somebody out there that knows something, saw something. And that's all. I just want somebody to speak up because I don't want anybody else to have to go through this, especially to not know, why and what reason there is behind not having your child with you anymore.
Well, we are waiting to hear back from the detective working on this case. If you have any information, you can call Crime Stoppers anonymously.
It's been 1 year and 5 months and still no signs of baby Amaya Robertson. The then 8-month-old was first reported missing back in March of 2019 from a home on South Holmes Avenue on the city's west side in Indianapolis. Amaya's mother, Amber Robertson, reported her daughter missing on March the 16th. It was later learned the infant had not been seen since March the 9th. Police have said the baby's disappearance is being treated as a homicide investigation. On Monday, demonstrators rallied on the steps of the City County building in downtown Indianapolis seeking justice for baby Amaya.
Amaya did not get to have a voice. Amaya did not get to have a first birthday. Nope. Amaya did not get to have but a little bit of life. Less than 365 days on this earth. That makes us all angry. We're mothers out here. Every single person standing behind me is a mother. And this mother of this baby waited a whole week to report her child missing. In my eyes, that deserves some kind of criminal charges.
If you have any kind of information about baby Amaya's disappearance, you're being asked to call Crime Stoppers, and remember, you can remain anonymous. On this Tuesday, our Todd Clausen is tracking some fog issues around central Indiana. Todd, what's the latest?
Yeah, Raphael, the National Weather Service has now expanded the dense fog advisory from just the far eastern side of the state to include almost all of central Indiana. It's in effect until 9 a.m. for most of you. For those of you in Richmond, your fog advisory goes until 10 a.m. And these visibilities, they've been fluctuating a little bit here this morning. And it's not too much of an issue in downtown Indianapolis, and kind of a little hole there in Johnson County where visibility not an issue as well. But you get outside of that area and you notice there's a lot of locations where you see no number in front of the decimal point, which means that the visibility is down below 1 mile, and that's when you start to run into some issues. So as you get on the roadways this morning, if you have to do so, just be aware of the dense fog that is out there. 69 degrees as you head to work and as the kids head off to school. As you come home, fog's no longer an issue, but we'll start to turn our attention to the possibility of some scattered storms, and a couple of them could be strong to severe. More on that coming up in just a few minutes.
Todd, thank you. Delayed mail through the U.S. Postal Service continues to be an issue here in Indiana. And part of the problem is trucks aren't as full as they should be. Coming up, WRTV investigates, talks to local postal workers, and we're getting answers about why this is happening. It's 5:44. We'll be right back. Well, the state of the Postal Service could still be an issue on the campaign trail leading up to the election. Raphael.
The Postal Union's local here in Indianapolis says that the current levels of mail delays are simply unprecedented. Nearly every morning, trucks leave the Indianapolis Post Office on South Street. But local postal workers say because of new cost-cutting measures put in place by the Postmaster General, the trucks are not full like they should be. The newly appointed postmaster mandated that every truck keep to its schedule, even if it's empty. The cuts require that postal trucks to leave sorting facilities by a specific time each day. The changes are meant to improve efficiency and reduce overtime and extra trips. Local workers say they're seeing an impact.
Well, we've seen both, and it depends on the volumes of mail for the day. If we have a heavy volume day, that mail may not make the truck on time because they're telling us to stop the processing at a certain time. So there are cases where trucks may run empty or half full, and then instead of running an extra truck like we would traditionally have done, the mail sits until the next day.
The WRTV Investigates reached out to the Postal Service. We did receive a statement from them in part saying on-time transportation has gone up from 89% to 97% in a few weeks. Now, since 2007, the Postal Service has experienced nearly $80 billion in losses. Postal workers are asking Congress for help.
Well, a group of lawmakers are planning to subpoena Postmaster General Louis DeJoy over this issue. The House Committee on Oversight and Reform says that will happen on Wednesday. The group says they're looking for more answers after DeJoy's testimony last week. They asked for documents on the changes made to the Postal Service, but they've not gotten them yet. It is 5:49. Let's take a turn right now to our forecast with Todd Clausen. Hey, Todd.
Yeah, Lauren, our main issue here this morning is the patchy dense fog that has settled in across the area. And the National Weather Service has expanded the dense fog advisory to almost all of central Indiana here this morning. With that said, showing you the view from downtown to the north, and you can see off into the distance pretty far. It's not a huge issue in downtown Indianapolis as far as the fog goes, or in Johnson County. But once you get to some of the outlying areas, the fog has really started to settle in. And keep in mind, most of these locations you see right here on your screen come from airports readings across the area, and you know, some of them are not airports, but nonetheless visibilities can fluctuate not only from county to county, but really it's neighborhood to neighborhood. So just give yourself some extra time this morning. Fishers to Greenfield down to Shelbyville, visibility down close to nothing, only a 1/10 of a mile in Connorsville, 2/10 over in Cloverdale, Spencer and Bloomington at 3/10 of a mile. So just be patient on the roadways here this morning, especially as I always tell you on the highways and the higher rates of speed, those visibilities can change very, very quickly. We'll burn the fog off by about 9-10 o'clock here this morning, and then we'll just have partly to mostly cloudy skies through the noon hour, but we'll build in scattered storms throughout the afternoon. So we have kind of multiple issues today, the fog in the morning and then the storm chances as we get into the afternoon hours. But there's not a whole lot going on immediately in our future here across central Indiana. But as we expand out, you notice the showers and storms storms off to our west, and they'll start to creep into our area going forward. The Storm Prediction Center has us under the marginal risk for severe weather as we work our way into this afternoon, this evening, and then into the overnight hours as well. And as you'll see here on TrueCast, I do think some of these storms could linger into the overnight hours for us, giving us the potential, once you go to sleep, of maybe a few isolated warnings. That's why it's always a good idea to have that Storm Shield app downloaded, which acts as a weather radio right on your phone. Otherwise, the storms this afternoon are just going to be kind of scattered in nature, but here come the ones as we work our way into the overnight hours. There's that cluster that moves through southern locations there, and then it will move off towards the east. So this evening, be weather aware. Sunset is at 8:15. Tomorrow, more scattered showers and storms in the forecast as well. But everything's scattered in nature. There's a lot of dry hours mixed in as well, with high temperatures that'll be up in the low 80s. Your 7-day planning forecast features unsettled weather through Thursday, but once that front goes through on Thursday, terrific weather Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Highs in the upper 70s Friday and Saturday, low 80s on Sunday. Morning lows in the low to mid 50s, it looks like, on Saturday morning, giving us a little taste of fall. And then Labor Day itself, we're looking at just a chance of a few scattered storms.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Let's take a look at traffic right now as you're heading out on the roads this Tuesday morning. This is a live look at I-70 near State Road 267. Traffic here is picking up, traveling about up to speed, but as Todd's been mentioning, we're monitoring that fog this morning. And here's something that we haven't had to talk about in a while, and that's school delays. So here are 3 districts that are under a delay this morning due to the fog: Decatur County, Charles A. Beard, and Rush County schools. You are on a delay this morning. We will continue to keep an eye out for any other school districts that may call a delay today, and of course we'll keep you updated. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this short break. Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. So Raphael, with kids all across the country using remote learning, they are encouraged to find a space at their home where they can focus and learn.
I wish I could be handy, because I'm not. But this Nebraska dad is very handy, right? And so he wants to build desks for students, and he's already doing that. You see, Marcus Holly said he started building desks for his 3 kids, even though he did not know how. But after watching YouTube, he learned how to do it and expanded his work to help others in the community. Now, Holly has barely charged enough to cover the cost of those supplies, but he got a great surprise from an anonymous donor. It was $1,000 so that he could keep building those desks without charging a dime. That is simply awesome.
That is very cool. Good for him. And you can help empower children with literacy tools that they need to be successful in school and really in life in general. You can donate to the WRTV If You Give a Child a Book campaign. The fundraiser runs through September 11th. All you have to do is go to WRTV.com/giveabook for more information. And we want to thank you for helping kids right here in Central Indiana. All right, Todd, as kids are maybe heading out to school this morning, we know there's a few delays out there, and that's due to the fog we're experiencing.
Yeah, you know, the dense fog advisory was expanded by the National Weather Service to include most of central Indiana just about 15 minutes ago. And you can see all the counties shaded in gray that are under the dense fog advisory. It's just some counties in northern Indiana where you are not technically under the advisory. That's because your visibilities are running a little bit better there to the north. So as Lauren mentioned, some school delays there, and just use a little bit of extra caution as you head off to work this morning as well. Once we get rid of the fog, there are some rain chances today and in the coming days. We'll break that down for you coming up when Good Morning Indiana continues right here on WRTV.